start the writing will start by something, for example, title, abstract, and etc., and will end by some other thing, for example, references and maybe appendices and etc. Now we want to introduce them to you. Okay. The general format of the thesis or statement, or writing a statement, or writing article. The general format. We have three main parts: front matter, body of the report, end matter. Okay? Then we must consider these things: front matter, end matter, body of the writing article. Okay. What are the front matter? It means that some matters that will exist in all writing or research theses or research documentation, in top of the research documentation, in front part of the research documentation. What are them? You start at first by the title. Then title page is the first front matter. Maybe you have some acknowledgements from other persons that affect your work. Then you have acknowledgement page. After this, you must introduce your work by a little abstract. In this abstract, you introduce your work, your findings, and a little comparison between your findings and previous findings. Then you have abstract. After this, you have table of contents. You have three table of contents, or three kind of lists. Table of contents for your writing, list of tables, and list of figures or plots in your documentation. Then you have three kinds of table of contents or list about your writing. Table of contents about your writing things, writing notes, about your research work. List of tables, if you have some tables to introduce, for example, show your results and etc. You have list of tables, and then list of figures. In each research documentation you have some figures, and you must consider the list of figures in the first stage of your documentation. Okay. After this stage, we will reach to body of the report. Body of the report is really body of each writing in each scientific report. Each scientific report has these parts: introduction about your work, your research, your motivation notes, literature review. You must have literature review. You must show the previous works that will be done up to now. The other part is methodology. Methodology is really the main part of your documentation. Methodology shows your work, shows your research process. For example, in experimental works, shows your experiments and their states and their conditions. In designing process, for example, it shows your designing results or designing your solutions to the design problem. In simulation work or simulation based work, methodology really shows the finding or how to find a proper algorithm and how to use it, and the software simulator, and for example, basic selections of the software or your basic selections in the simulation. Results, really your findings. Discussion, a kind of discussion or argument between your findings and previous findings, and conclusion about your findings and how and what they mean, or what do they mean. Okay, and the third part of the writing or your documentation, end matter, appendix of the documentation, end notes, some notes, for example, some notes about the experiments, some notes about basic theory or basic theories of your work, and you think that they are very well known, that then you doesn't consider them in your body of your research work. Then maybe you consider them as your endnotes. And reference list. Okay, save time and develop your reference list as you write. When you write your documentation, when you write about your work, consider a reference, consider the reference, and consider its number in the text. By this kind of work you save the time. Okay, after this we will have sections of the report. Up to now we speak about the general, we have some general speaking about writing process, some important things about writing, and then we speak about the main parts or the general format of the documentation. We divided them by 3 parts: front matter, body of the documentation, and end matter. We introduced them to you, and now we have another thing: sections of the report. For example, title of the report, what does it mean? Abstract of the report, introduction of the report, methodology of the report, and etc. Literature review of the report, and etc. Then up to this is proper for this session, and in the next session we will discuss about the main sections of the report. Okay, I hope you will be okay, and we will discuss about the sections of the report in the next session. Thank you very much and have good times. Goodbye.